Hello again, my name's Gabe Zona. You know how Obamacare was jammed down our throats? Well, for those of you that don't know how it was jammed down our throats, I want to give you a little bit of history. And this isn't really about Obamacare, this is about H.R. 2546, but there is a connection. The House of Representatives submitted a bill to the majority leader of the Senate. At that time it was that whack job, Harry Reid. And the bill was a tax credit for military housing. And what Harry Reid did was he removed all of the information except the fact that it was approved by the House and sent to the Senate. And he substituted all the documents for Obamacare. Now, if that isn't fraud, what the hell is? And then what happened? Well, Justice Roberts said, yeah, they can do that. It's okay. On a 5-4 decision. And then what ended up happening was that the Americans had no choice. You either buy a policy, the Less Than Affordable Care Act, or you get fined. And that fine increases. So, you got Carolyn Maloney, a whacked out Democrat out of New York. On May the 21st, 2015, she introduces H.R. 2546. And it has a number of co-sponsors. Ed Blumenauer, Stephen Lynch from Massachusetts, Charles Rangel from New York. Charlie should be in prison for what he did with tax evasion, but that's a different story. And then you got Catherine Clark from Massachusetts, James McGovern, Massachusetts, Nikki Taskas, Massachusetts, and Raul Grevava from Arizona. If you haven't noticed, they're all whacked out Democrats. Now, what the bill does, it's designed to prohibit the sale of a firearm to and to purchase a firearm by a person who is not covered by appropriate liability insurance coverage. In other words, you're not going to be able to buy a gun, you're not going to be able to own a gun unless you have adequate liability insurance coverage. So what this has done really is it started a new business for the insurance companies. It goes on to say, be enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. Section 1, short title. This act may be cited as the Firearm Risk Protection Act of 2015. Section 2 prohibits on sale of firearm to and purchase of a firearm by a person not covered by appropriate liability insurance. A. Prohibition. Section 922 of Title 18 United States Code is amended by adding at the end the following: AA1AI. It shall be unlawful to a person to purchase a firearm unless, at the time of purchase, the purchaser presents it to the seller proof that the purchaser is covered by a qualified liability insurance policy. 2. It shall be unlawful for a person to sell a firearm unless, at the time of the sale, the seller verifies that the purchaser is covered by a qualified liability insurance policy. 3. It shall be unlawful for a person who owns a firearm purchased on or after the effective date of this subsection not to be covered by a qualified liability insurance policy. B. Subparagraph A shall not apply to the purchase or sale of a firearm for the use of the United States or any department or agency of the United States or any state or any department, agency, or policy subdivision of state. 2 in paragraph. So there's more that you can read, and I'll attach this link. So what this really means is that only you, the American citizen, has to buy or we'll have to buy a liability policy. The government doesn't have to do that, or police agencies, just you. Now, you have to ask yourself a question. What happens if you don't buy the policy? Well, then, my friend, you can find yourself in serious, serious trouble. You can be fined up to $10,000. So what this, in essence, has done is, if it passes, is it's forced the American people into a corner. It's attacked their Second Amendment rights, because unless you can afford the policy on each and every weapon that you either own or wish to purchase, you won't be able to own a gun, which is in direct contradiction of the Second Amendment. Now, what's the risk of this passing? If the House of Representatives and if the Senate remain in control of responsible Republicans, not rhinos like Johnny McCain, if it stays in the hands of responsible Republicans that have a leader, which right now there isn't one in the House of Representatives, nor is there really one in the Senate. Mitch McConnell is not a leader, as far as I'm concerned. He's rolled over too many times to accommodate the chosen one, as has Speaker Boehner, who controls the purse. Don't you find it odd that no matter what Obama wants financially, Boehner provides with your tax money? But that's a different story. I'll attach the link. You can read more of the specifics on the proposed H.R. 2546. These elected representatives have nothing better to do than to try to figure out how to screw us. And this is a perfect example. This is an end run on our Second Amendment. You think not? You're not thinking.